Hey family, I'm SNwadiei. I'm her myself. I'm also the Creole Griotist. And I am sitting in my backyard. Yeah, my backyard. It's my raised flower bed behind me with my sunflower that everybody loves. It's reaching up to the sun, y'all. It's just saying hello. I'm trying to kiss the sky. And I love that about it. You know, it just makes my day just looking at it. So when the sun is out, it's just like, oh, happy day. Because I'm looking at my sunflower and that it's there. Because last year I did plant some, but they didn't grow. But anyway, guys, how are y'all doing today? Yeah, for real. How are y'all doing? I want to know. Leave comments down below, y'all, and hit that notification bell. If you have not subscribed and you just looking, what you waiting on, y'all? It's free. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. If this is your first time coming, and if this is your return coming, thank you for coming back. Welcome home. I appreciate and love all of y'all, and agape love, y'all know. Because some of y'all people just too much into the flesh. And I'm 68 and I'm done, y'all. I'm done with that. I'm on a different level. Not to say I haven't been in the other level, but y'all, that's been lifetimes ago. Lifetimes ago. And anybody want to bring it up by researching me, Googling me, hey, you welcome to it. Because when you do, you'll see that I was always testifying and saying what I had done in my past and that I was trying to be a new creature. So anyway, I'm not into denial. And I am willing to accept responsibility for all of my actions, whether they be good or they be bad. I regret the things I've done that was not good. And I am pleased with what I have done that's good. I'm not going to do apologetics for myself and say that I was a product of my environment and that's why I did what I did. Nah, everybody has problems and they pass. It's just a matter of perspective. But it's how we respond to what has happened to us. And if we become people of merit or not. But I believe in free will, y'all. And I believe that free will is free to everybody, whether they choose to use it for the good of mankind or for the bad. And I don't believe that everything should be blamed on somebody else. Now, it's just not me, y'all. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Do you think that we're a whole group of innocents? Innocent gods having a human experience? Just imagine, y'all, if we are gods, we're powerful. And to reduce us to just being victims, I think is oversimplifying stuff. What do y'all think? If we are truly gods and goddesses having a human experience, how can we blame our behaviors that's bad on somebody else that you consider a lower creature, that you consider your scapegoat? You know, all societies have to have a scapegoat. Remember how they used to take the goat and put all the sins of the community on it and send it out into the wilderness? Well, are we doing that right now, mentally? I just got done listening to one conversation that I won't even name this thing because I don't want people saying that I'm hating on them. But it's a big show. that I would have expected better from. Better meaning not having somebody that has apologetics. Apologetics for all of us melanated people. Something that's oversimplifying our behaviors. Guys, we were enslaved and we were colonized for such a very small part of our history. If we are the original man, really the original woman, how could we say that we're responding in a way that victims respond? What about all those thousands and thousands of years before then, when we ruled the world? When we ruled the world. You mean we don't have a group mind to remember when we ruled the world too? And that power that we felt, that's not in us too? Really? I've researched lots of histories, and I'm telling you, no matter how far back I went, there was always the haves and the have-nots and caste systems, whether it had anything to do with color or not. A lot of it had to do with ethnic groups and tribalism, no matter what country it was in. And yes, there were evil people. In fact, all of the civilizations where people were the ruling class, they were pretty evil, y'all. They pretty much did whatever they wanted. And yeah, they had it good, but everybody else was there to serve them. Whether they carried them on their heads, carried them on their shoulders, or if the horses or other animals carried these rulers around. There's always some ruling class, unless you go to like very early history, where people was like still knocking folks in the head and dragging them around just to mate. But when we was in the real civilized portion, it's like when people died, sometimes they like buried hundreds of people with that ruler that was dead, because they wanted that ruler to have servants in the afterlife. Can you imagine that you wouldn't even think of somebody as a human being enough to live, that they just was going to be a servant even in the afterlife? And so when they closed that tomb, it filled up with sand and took everybody that brought all of that stuff into the tomb with them. And some civilizations, when the man died, you know, this powerful ruler died, his wife or wives was buried along with him, but they was buried alive, you know. We need to read our histories, y'all, and quit accepting easy apologetics for bad behavior. And mental illness cannot be discounted into just an explanation that we're not responsible for the evil that we do or the bad things that we do. Because what? The devil made me do it? So if the devil made you do it, how is anybody else going to be able to close their eyes at night? If everybody was traumatized and nobody's responsible for their own actions, it's an excuse for everything. Nobody has free will. Nobody has free choice. We're just responding to the evil that's been done to us for hundreds of years, when our ancestors are not just our ancestors from hundreds of years ago. Our ancestors are our ancestors from the beginning of time, y'all. And we need to research them. They was not walking around like babies, all nice and sweet. No, they wasn't. They was some gangsters, y'all. Some of them done some good stuff. Yeah, so they did gangster good. And some of them did some quite evil stuff. stuff that you would not be bragging on this day. And yeah, I believe that group mind has some things to do with it. That's why folks used to go watch folks get hung. And that's a worldwide phenomenon, y'all. Folks going around watching people get hung, watching people get decapitated, watching people get burned at the stake, like with Joan of Arc. You have all these awful things that have happened to people worldwide, and other folks just stood around and watched or cheered because they had a group mentality of evil, y'all. Them folks was evil. They wasn't nice people. And they hadn't been dominated by anybody yet. They was evil to each other. They didn't think nothing of hurting each other, less alone their enemies. It was all a caste system where you had the people up at the top and the people up at the bottom. And they also used to get rid of their rulers. You know, remember Julius Caesar with et tu, Brute? They turn around and turn on you. Yeah, they did. Hold on for a second, y'all. Trying to follow this thing, y'all. Interesting. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I hope y'all enjoyed the little natural moment. And then you see this perspective. I hope y'all enjoyed that display of perspective. You see how when I zoomed in on that lizard, he seemed so big. He almost looked like a dragon. And then when I took the zoom off, he just looked like a regular old lizard. That's how things are in this world, y'all. Is whatever you focus on is what gets blown out of proportion. And I think all this false identity of being, quote, peaceful people is a bunch of crap. We need to research our history. Our ancestors were not just peaceful people. For some periods of time, yes, they did have hundreds of years of peace. But they also had like thousands of years of war too. And it was before any big time, quote, oppressors from foreign countries came onto the continent. And I'm talking about the continent of Africa, what we call the motherland. I remember when I went to Cameroon and I found out the history of the Tikar people. I went to more than one museum and they told us the histories from their perspective, y'all, and they showed us relics. After a while, y'all, I was pretty much ready to come home. I had heard too much history, if it's such a thing. I was thinking, oh my goodness, this is just too much. Because I had such fantasy ideas of who they were that it didn't reconcile. You know, the real history didn't reconcile. So needless to say, when I was invited, or we were invited to this wedding, and I saw this sultan's daughter get married to who they said was their oppressors, I was disappointed, y'all. I ain't gonna lie, I was disappointed. It's like, why would you even have this person as a option to even think to date, less alone marry? It's like, because of people like this person, your ancestor, your personal ancestor, was in exile until they died, and your people could not practice their culture for hundreds of years. That I don't understand. But still, to rewrite history to make us all peaceful, loving people, it's a false history, y'all. Like I said, yes, some of our ancestors did have periods of peace and thousands of years of war. But we have to research it, y'all, for ourselves, and not just have people do apologetics where they make us to be victims, always victims, just responding to the pain that has happened to us before, that we have no free will, that all of it is just in response to what happened to us. I don't buy that, y'all. I just don't. I do believe we have free will and we have free choice, and our actions, we should be held accountable, and yes, we are responsible for our actions, because you can think about doing something and then choose not to do it, no matter what it is, whether it's hurting someone, whether they're a little child or they're an adult. You have choice. We all have choices, you know, and just to blame it on the whatever is oversimplification. So I'm going to read from Black Pearls by Eric V. Kopich. Daily Meditations, Affirmation, and Inspirations for African Americans. This one is about wisdom. It says, at 22, I thought I knew everything. Now at 67, I found I haven't tasted a drop from the sea of knowledge. The more I learned, the more I found out how little I know. John E. Kopich. And I'm going to let y'all think about that and decide for yourself what that means, because I really don't like to read the explanation of what the author thinks that it means, because I think that we have a mind so we can decide for ourselves what it means. Like I said, when I was watching this TV, YouTube, that's when I wrote down about the apologetics. So apologetics, are we innocents? Are we innocents? Are we descendants of just peaceful people, making our ancestors to be some angelic being that has no choice of good and evil, that they're just 100% pure peace and love, you know, kumbaya type people? Or did we actually descend from warrior beings, warriors, be they female warriors, male warriors, you know, that yes, they have done some good behaviors, honorable behaviors, and they've done some awful stuff, y'all. We just have to learn our history, our real history for ourselves. Quit listening to all these folks that's talking all this idealistic apologetics. You know, we have to be responsible for our own actions. No, our people were not just peaceful and loving people. They had all of the spectrum. They were multifaceted human beings, as we are. We are made in their image. We have their DNA. It's nature versus nurture. So with that being said, if we are a reincarnation of them through the DNA, even though every time it's a remix, it's not a pure ancestor, because it's an ancestor from two different families, the mother's side and the father's side, you know, and it gets remixed every time, mother side, father side, plus their mother side, father side, so on and so forth. We are not a reincarnation of one particular being. We cannot be. You know, biologically speaking, the DNA is a mixture of lots and lots and lots of different people. You know, lots of different people. And our ancestry goes back way farther than a couple of 100 years. So that's all I had to say. That we need to quit being oversimplistic about things like mental health issues. We have to work harder on prevention, starting with ourselves. And only we know what we need to do to make ourselves mentally stronger. Me personally, I do it by researching history and venting with my friends and family that actually want to vent without fighting. So it's all a choice, y'all. But I guarantee y'all, we are not just victims. We do have choice, and free will is one of them, and it's free to everybody. Some of the stuff we do, that sociopathic behavior, it's still a choice, because even sociopaths have their people picked with how they behave. Some folks can sell ice to Eskimos, you know. Just try not to be one of those that's gullible and buy everything somebody says and then hurry up to send them some money because you like what they said and you didn't even know what they said, you know. Just because they said that you're a victim and everything you do is not your fault. Really? Everything you do that's bad is not your fault. That you responsible for it because you got to go to jail or whatever. But you wasn't responsible for that because you just a victim responding to all the social ills of your ancestors. Even though your ancestors go back farther than slavery and farther than colonization. We are the original man, the original woman of creation. We started everything. Our mind has to go back as far as that. So anyway, y'all, just food for thought. Until next time, y'all. Peace, peace, power to the people. And I'm out, y'all. Bye.